The jungle was never silent, but tonight it felt different. The air was heavy, too heavy, as if the very ground was holding its breath. Strange cries of animals echoed from the dark canopy, and the trees swayed without wind. He moved carefully, brushing vines away from his face. Sweat ran down his neck. He had been stranded here for days, but this night felt more dangerous than all the others. Something unseen was moving through the jungle. The earth rumbled under his boots. At first he thought it was his imagination. Then the ground shook again, longer, stronger. Birds exploded out of the trees in a wave of wings. Monkeys screamed and leapt from branches, fleeing deeper into the forest. His heart raced. Earthquake? He whispered to himself. But no, the sound wasn't right. It wasn't the earth cracking. It was footsteps. Boom, boom. Each step sent vibrations into his bones. He crouched low, hiding behind a fallen log, his eyes wide. The jungle grew darker, as if even the moon was afraid to shine. Through the thick trees, something massive was coming. At first, he saw only shadows stretching across the jungle floor. Then, a tall figure appeared, so tall his neck strained as he looked up. She was not human. Her body glowed faintly, her skin smooth and alien, yet shaped like a woman. Her eyes were bright as fireflies, fixed directly ahead. She was 12 feet tall. The human froze, every muscle in his body locked in fear. He thought his mind was playing tricks, but when she stepped closer, the ground cracked under her weight. Her beauty was terrifying, like looking at a goddess who could crush him with one hand. She stopped suddenly. Her head tilted, her glowing eyes narrowing. She smelled the air, then turned her gaze directly toward him. His blood turned cold. She opened her mouth, her voice deep yet strangely soft. "Mine," she said. The word rolled like thunder. Before he could react, another tremor shook the jungle. Trees groaned and split as another giant figure walked into the clearing. She was just as tall, just as alien, but her aura burned brighter, like silver fire in the dark. Her expression was fierce, her steps even heavier than the first. She stopped beside her sister. Her voice was sharp, dangerous. "No, he is mine." The man's heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst. Two alien women giants, sisters, were staring at him as if he was the prize of their war. The first sister bared her teeth, a strange but beautiful snarl. "I claimed him. First blood is mine." The second's eyes glowed brighter. "Then you will bleed trying to keep him." The jungle groaned, vines trembling as if the world itself feared what was about to happen. The man ducked lower, panic clawing at his chest. He had no weapon, no chance to run. He was caught between two massive beings ready to destroy each other for him. The first sister stepped forward, her massive foot crushing plants flat. She reached her hand out toward him, her voice soft now, almost gentle. "Come to me, human. I will not hurt you." He swallowed, his throat dry. Her hand was big enough to wrap around his whole body. But before he could move, the second sister swung her arm wide, blocking the way. The motion was so fast that the trees bent under the force of the wind she created. Her voice was venom. "Do not touch him. He belongs to me." The ground shuddered as the two giants faced each other. The human could feel the heat of their power, like invisible fire pressing against his skin. Around them, the jungle began to collapse. Animals screamed and vanished into the shadows. The man could only watch, trapped, as the air grew thicker, harder to breathe. The sisters moved closer, eyes locked on each other. Their bodies glowed brighter, energy sparking in the air like lightning before a storm. The human pressed his back against the log, his breath shallow. His mind screamed for him to run, but his legs refused. He was prey, and yet, somehow he was also the prize. The first sister's voice dropped, filled with fury. "Step aside. You are weak. I will take him." The second's lips curled into a cold smile. "Try." Then, without warning, the jungle exploded into chaos. The first struck, her hand slamming against her sister's arm. The shockwave knocked the human onto his back, gasping as the earth cracked open beneath him. Trees toppled like matchsticks. Leaves and dirt rained from above. The sisters clashed with the force of thunder. Their roars shook the night, and the jungle itself seemed to scream. The human crawled backward, his ears ringing. Every strike was louder than gunfire. Every movement tore the earth deeper apart. But as he tried to escape, the ground beneath him split wide. His body slid toward the crack, and he clawed at the soil in desperation. He glanced up one last time. Both sisters had stopped fighting for just a second. Their glowing eyes burned into him, and together, they shouted his name. The jungle swallowed his scream as he fell into the darkness below. Darkness swallowed him as he fell, the air rushing past his ears. His fingers scraped against roots and stones, but nothing stopped his descent. At last, with a painful thud, he landed in shallow mud. His chest burned, his breaths ragged. Above, the jungle roared. The ground cracked and shook as the two alien sisters fought with fury. Their silhouettes flashed against the night sky, glowing like twin storms. Every strike shook the earth. Every movement tore apart the land. The man lay still for a moment, struggling to gather strength. The chamber he had fallen into was damp and wide, filled with glowing roots that pulsed faint light. The roots looked alive, as though the jungle's heart itself beat inside these walls. He forced himself to stand. His body ached, but curiosity pulled him toward the glowing veins. He touched one, and for an instant, visions burned into his mind, images of the sisters, their past battles, and their unending rivalry. He gasped, pulling his hand back, but the vision stayed, haunting his thoughts. He realized something terrifying. The sisters were not only claiming him. Their fight was tied to the jungle itself. The forest was alive, and it responded to their rage. A deafening crack from above made him stumble. Soil rained down, and the sisters' voices echoed into the chamber. "Mine!" The first thundered. "Never!" "Yours!" the second screamed back. He scrambled up a slope of dirt and managed to climb out again. His hands shook, but he knew he couldn't hide. If their fight destroyed the jungle, he would be buried alive anyway. When his head rose above the surface, he froze. The sisters stood in the clearing, their bodies towering like gods. Their glowing skin reflected off the broken trees. One held a massive stone, ripped from the earth itself, and hurled it with a roar. The other caught it in both hands and crushed it like sand. The man's heart hammered in his chest. These weren't simple warriors, they were forces of nature. The first sister spotted him climbing out of the crack. Her expression softened for a moment, her eyes almost gentle. "Human," she said, her deep voice rolling through the jungle. "Come to me. I will protect you." Before he could even breathe, the second sister leapt forward, her foot slamming into the ground so hard the soil burst upward in a wave. She bent down, her face close to him, her silver eyes burning. "She lies. She will destroy you. Only I can keep you safe." Both hands reached toward him at the same time. His mind spun. Their fingers were bigger than his body. If he chose one, the other would kill him without mercy. "Stop!" he cried, his voice breaking, but they didn't. Sisters clashed again, this time right over him. Their arms slammed together, their glowing bodies crashing with the sound of thunder. The shockwave threw him off his feet, sending him rolling across the dirt. He coughed and tried to crawl away, but the jungle betrayed him. The ground split again, sending vines whipping through the air. Roots coiled around his legs, holding him in place as if the forest itself wanted him to stay and witness. He looked up, trapped, as the sisters circled each other. Their breaths came heavy, their eyes locked in hatred. "You always take what is mine," the first growled, "and you always fail to keep it," the second sneered. Their glowing hands clashed again, sparks of energy bursting into the night. Trees exploded into splinters. The air stank of burning sap and scorched earth. The human shouted, "You'll destroy everything." But his voice was drowned by their battle. Then, something changed. For the first time, their eyes left each other and focused on him. The sisters stopped mid-strike. Their glowing faces leaned toward him, sweat and fury dripping down their features. First sister spoke, her voice suddenly low, almost seductive. "Choose me, human. Say my name, and I will end this fight." The second hissed, her silver aura flaring brighter. "No, choose me. Bind yourself to me, and she will never touch you again." His breath came shallow. He could barely think. The roots tightened around him, glowing in rhythm with their words, as if the jungle itself demanded a decision. His lips trembled. He wanted to speak, but fear held his voice. The first sister leaned closer, so close he could feel her heat. "I will give you power. I will give you everything." The second pressed her face nearer, her cold smile dangerous. "I will give you life. Without me, you will not survive." The jungle fell silent. Even the animals stopped crying. The world seemed to wait for his answer. His mind screamed. His body shook. He closed his eyes and finally shouted, I choose." The ground erupted before he could finish. From the jungle floor rose something far worse. A beast of shadows and teeth, drawn by their chaos. Its roar shook the stars themselves. The sisters turned, both growling as their glowing bodies flared to full brightness. The human gasped. For a moment, their rivalry was forgotten, and yet deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The beast's roar shook the jungle like a storm. Trees bent, animals shrieked, and the very ground seemed to pulse with fear. Its body was massive, dark as midnight, its skin covered in scales that shimmered like whetstone. Its mouth stretched wide, rows of jagged teeth glistening, each the size of swords. The human stood frozen, still tangled in glowing roots. His heart thumped so hard it hurt. He had thought the sisters were terrifying, but this thing was worse. Its eyes glowed red, filled with hunger, and it was looking directly at him. The two sisters moved at once, stepping between him and the beast. Their towering figures glowed brighter, their energy swirling like fire and lightning. For a moment, they looked less like rivals and more like guardians, but he knew the truth. Even as they faced the beast, their eyes kept flicking back at him. They were not fighting for the jungle. They were fighting for him. The beast lunged forward, crashing through trees like paper. The first sister struck, her fist colliding with its jaw. The impact sent shockwaves through the ground, but the beast barely stumbled. It roared louder, snapping its head forward. The second sister leapt, her foot slamming into the beast's side. The creature skidded back, gouging trenches in the earth. For a moment, the jungle breathed again, but then the beast's tail whipped around. It slammed into both sisters with a crack like thunder. The giants stumbled, their glowing auras flickering. The human cried out, pulling at the vines that held him. His body strained, but the jungle refused to let go. It was as if the roots wanted him to stay and witness. The sisters regained their footing, their eyes blazing with fury. They turned on each other for a second, their voices sharp. "You slowed me," the first shouted. "You are weak." The second snarled. The beast roared again, charging. The man's chest tightened. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. They were still fighting each other even now. "Stop!" he screamed, his voice cracking. "You'll die if you keep fighting each other." But his words barely touched them. The first sister spun toward him, her glowing face twisted with anger and desperation. "Then tell us, human, who will protect you? Choose me, and I will end this monster." The second sister's silver aura flared, her voice like a blade. "Choose me, and I will tear it apart for you." His stomach dropped. Both sisters were waiting for his answer, even while the beast thundered closer. The jungle seemed to hold its breath again, as though everything beast roots, even the air waited for his decision. He shook his head, sweat running down his face. I can't choose. The first sister's eyes burned with fury. Then you will die with her weakness. The second hissed, stepping closer to him. No, he will die with your arrogance. The beast charged again, its claws raised high. The sisters launched forward, colliding with the monster in an explosion of sound. Dirt and trees flew into the air. The shockwave tore the roots from the chuma. Ground freeing his legs, the human gasped and stumbled forward, finally free. But instead of running, he froze, staring at the battle. The sisters struck together this time, one slamming the beast's chest, the other raking her claws across its face. The creature howled in rage, snapping at them with its endless teeth. The jungle shook with every clash, but the man noticed something strange. Each time the beast struck, the glowing roots pulsed brighter. It wasn't just watching, it was feeding. The jungle's power grew with the chaos that his mind raced. The sisters thought he was just a prize. But what if he was something else? What if the jungle itself wanted him to choose, to bind with one of them, to decide who controlled its power? The idea chilled him. His voice shook as he shouted into the storm of noise. Why me? Why are you fighting over me? The beast hurled one sister into the trees. She crashed down with a roar, splitting the earth. The other grabbed the beast's jaws, straining as its teeth snapped inches from her face. And then, through the chaos, her voice reached him. Because you are the key. Without you, we are nothing. The words hit him harder than the tremors. His legs trembled. He wanted to run, to escape all of it. But deep inside, he felt the truth. The visions he had seen underground were real. The jungle, the sisters, even the beast, they were all bound to him somehow. The beast wrenched free and lunged at him directly, ignoring the sisters, its jaws opened wide, the stench of blood and rot filling his nose. Time slowed. Both sisters leapt at once, their glowing hands reaching for him, not the beast. Their voices overlapped, fierce and desperate. Choose me! Choose me! His mind screamed, his chest heaved, and he realized he had no escape. If he didn't decide now, the beast would end everything. His lips parted. His voice rose above the roar of the jungle. I choose. And then the world went white. Asterisk white light swallowed the jungle. For a heartbeat, the human felt weightless, as if he had been pulled out of his own body. The sound of roars, crashes, and cracking earth vanished. Only silence remained. When his vision returned, he was no longer standing in the jungle clearing. Instead, he was in a vast chamber beneath the earth. The walls pulsed with glowing roots, veins of living light stretching upward into darkness. The air was heavy, warm, almost alive. He staggered forward, trying to catch his breath. His hands brushed against the glowing roots, and once again, visions slammed into his mind. This time they were clearer. He saw the sisters not as giants, but as children. They were smaller, fragile, yet still glowing with alien light. They lived in this very jungle, guarded by creatures of shadow. But the vision twisted, showing them fighting each other, even as children. The word rivals burned across his mind. Then another image. A circle of alien symbols carved into stone. And at its center stood a man, not a giant, not a beast, just a human like him. He gasped and pulled his hand back. His heart raced. These visions were not just memories. They were truths the jungle wanted him to see. A sound made him turn. The sisters were here too. They stepped out of the glowing roots. Their massive bodies bent low inside the chamber. Their eyes blazed with fury and desire, but their voices were softer now, almost sorrowful. The first sister spoke, her tone sharp but carrying weight. Now you see. This jungle is not only alive, it is bound to us. The second silver aura flickered. She added, her words heavy with emotion, and bound to you. The human shook his head, backing away. Why me? I don't belong here. I'm not part of this jungle. The first sister lowered herself, her glowing eyes locked on his. You are not the first human to fall here. Long ago, another came. He chose, he bound himself to one of us. And his choice gave her the power to rule this world. The second stepped closer, her expression bitter. But he was weak. He died, and with his death, the balance broke. The jungle has been bleeding ever since. The man's stomach twisted. His voice cracked. So, I'm supposed to replace him? The sister's silence was answer enough. The jungle chamber pulsed. Brighter, the roots throbbing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He felt it like a chain tightening around his chest. The first sister reached out a massive hand. Her voice deep but strangely soft. Choose me, and the jungle will heal. My strength will protect you, and no beast will ever touch you. The second moved closer too, her silver aura shimmering across the walls. Choose me, and the jungle will obey us both. You will not be her servant, you will be my equal. The man's breath came fast. He could barely think. They weren't just fighting for him. They were fighting for the jungle itself, for the very balance of their world. But there was something else, something the visions had whispered. He looked between them, his voice shaking. Your sisters. Why do you hate each other so much? For a moment, their glowing faces twisted with pain. The first clenched her fists. Because she betrayed me. She wanted everything, my power, my bond, my place. The second's eyes narrowed, sharp as knives. Because she was weak, and weakness destroys us all. The air grew hot, the roots trembling as if feeding on their anger. The chamber shook, dust raining from above. The human raised his hands, desperate. If I choose one of you, the other will kill me. I can see it in your eyes. Neither denied it. Their silence was louder than words. Then the ground split. From the crack, the beast's roar echoed once again, deeper, stronger. The shadows of its claws reached into the chamber. It had followed them down. The sisters turned sharply, their glowing bodies bracing for battle. But their eyes flicked back to him, burning with hunger and need. The first whispered, almost pleading now, Say my name. Bind with me. End this madness. The second's voice was colder, sharper, but beneath it trembled a crack of desperation. Choose me, human. With me you live. With her you die. The roots lashed tight around the chamber walls, glowing brighter, feeding on the moment. The jungle itself was waiting for him to decide. The man's chest tightened. He finally understood the terrible truth. It wasn't just about choosing one sister. It was about choosing the fate of the jungle and maybe his own humanity. The beast roared again, tearing into the chamber. The sisters roared back, their voices shaking the earth. The human fell to his knees, caught between three forces of destruction, two alien sisters and the monster born of their rage. And in that suffocating moment, he realized something even more terrifying. The jungle didn't want him to choose one, that it wanted him to choose both. The chamber shook as the beast forced its way inside. Roots snapped, stones fell, and dust choked the air. Its roar thundered through the walls, making the man's bones tremble. The monster was even larger down here, its shadow stretching across. The glowing chamber like a storm dot, the sisters stood tall, their glowing bodies lighting the darkness. For once, their rivalry seemed forgotten. Their eyes narrowed, both fixed on the beast. The silver aura of one flared like a blade, while the fiery glow of the other burned like a sun. The human pressed himself against the wall, his breath quick and shallow. He had seen them fight each other, but now he was about to witness them face a true enemy together. The beast struck first. Its claws raked across the chamber floor, slicing through glowing roots. Sparks of light burst out like blood from veins. The roots shrieked a sound that was not natural, not animal. It was the jungle itself crying. The first sister roared, leaping forward. Her fist slammed into the beast's head, snapping it sideways. The second followed, striking its ribs with a kick so powerful the walls cracked. For a moment, the monster stumbled. The human dared to hope, but the beast was no ordinary creature. It turned on them with red eyes blazing. Its tail lashed out like a whip, slamming into both sisters. The giants crashed into opposite walls, the chamber shaking with their impact. The human shielded his head as debris rained down. His chest heaved. If they fall, I die too. The sisters rose, battered but furious. Their voices overlapped in thunder. Stay behind me, human, the first commanded. No, behind me. The second snapped. Even now, they couldn't let go of their rivalry. The man's heart pounded. His voice cracked as he shouted, "You'll lose if you fight like this. It will kill all of us." But the sisters ignored him. They charged together, but their strikes were uncoordinated, clashing against each other as much as the beast. Their pride poisoned their unity. The beast capitalized. Its massive jaws snapped shut around one sister's arm, tearing flesh. She howled, her glow flickering. The other tried to pull the monster away, but its tail smashed her back into the roots. The man's body moved before his mind. He sprinted forward, grabbing a sharp shard of stone from the ground. It was foolish. He was nothing compared to them but desperation, drowned reason. He slashed the stone across the beast's leg. The cut was small, barely a scratch, but it bled black liquid that sizzled as it hit the glowing roots. The beast shrieked, thrashing in fury. The sisters noticed. For the first time, their voices softened, not toward each other, but toward him. "You are bound," the fiery sister gasped. "The jungle reacts to you." The silver sister's eyes widened. "You can wound it, when we cannot." The man froze. The shard in his hand pulsed faintly with the jungle's glow. Somehow the roots had given him power. The beast swung toward him, enraged. Its jaws opened wide. Before it could strike, both sisters moved as one. They leapt between him and the monster, their glowing bodies colliding with its head. Their combined force drove it back, slamming it into the chamber wall. The ground split open, a deep chasm yawning wide. The beast roared, scrambling to regain footing. The sisters landed beside the human, their massive frames trembling. Their breaths came heavy, their glowing skin cracked with wounds. For the first time, they didn't argue. The silver sister's voice was low, almost respectful. "Human, you must decide. If you do not bind with one of us, this beast will rise again." The fiery sister's gaze softened, something almost desperate in her eyes. "But if you choose wrongly, the jungle will fall." The human's chest tightened, sweat poured down his face. He looked at the beast, struggling to climb out of the crack. He looked at the sisters, towering over him, both waiting for his answer. He felt the roots under his feet, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The jungle was waiting too. His throat burned as he whispered, "What if I don't choose one?" "What if I choose both?" The sisters froze. Their glowing eyes widened. For a moment, they looked at each other, shocked. The chamber trembled. The roots lit brighter, filling the space with blinding light. The beast roared one last time, hauling itself up from the crack. The human tightened his grip on the shard of stone. His voice rose above the chaos. "If I am the key, then I decide. Both of you fight with me together." The sisters' expressions shifted. Anger, pride, then something new, acceptance. The fiery sister growled, extending her massive glowing hand. "Then take my strength." The silver sister's aura blazed, her hand reaching forward too, and mine. The man placed his hands against theirs. The roots screamed, the jungle shook, and power surged into his body like fire and ice colliding. Beast lunged, the sisters roared, the human's eyes glowed, and the chamber erupted into war. Asterisk. The chamber shook like it was about to collapse. The beast charged, its roar shattering the silence of the underground world. Its claws tore through the glowing roots, splattering black ichor across the walls. But this time, the man did not freeze. His hands burned with alien light, a reflection of the sister's power flowing through him. His veins glowed faintly, his heartbeat echoing in the jungle's rhythm. The beast lunged at him, jaws wide enough to swallow him whole. At the last second, the fiery sister slammed into its chest, knocking it aside. The silver sister followed, gripping its neck with strength that bent stone. The human stumbled backward, staring in awe. The sisters were no longer fighting each other, they were fighting with each other. For the first time, their strikes were in sync, their roars blending into one. Still, the beast was relentless. It thrashed, slamming its tail into the fiery sister, throwing her across the chamber. The silver one shrieked as its claws raked across her shoulder, blood glowing silver as it poured down her skin. The man's chest tightened. They were giants. Yet they bled for him. Something inside him snapped. He raised the shard of stone, now glowing brighter than ever. The roots pulsed around him, guiding his steps. He sprinted forward, every nerve screaming in fear, but his body moved with alien purpose. He leapt, slamming the shard into the beast's leg. The wound flared with light, and the monster shrieked. Stumbling, the fiery sister grabbed the opening, tackling the beast from the side. The silver sister wrapped her arms around its neck, dragging it down into the glowing roots. The jungle itself coiled upward, binding the monster tighter, feeding off its struggle. The man collapsed to his knees, gasping, his body shaking from the power surging through him. His vision blurred, but he forced his eyes open. The sisters looked at him, sweat, blood, and fury covering their faces. Yet in their gaze, for the first time, there was no rivalry. Only unity. The silver sister's voice cracked, but her words carried weight. He bleeds with us. The fiery sister nodded, gripping the beast tighter. Then he is ours, both of ours. The words struck him harder than the tremors. The jungle doesn't want me to choose one. It wants me to bind to both. The beast roared, thrashing wildly, dragging all three of them across the chamber. The roots screamed as they snapped, but more kept growing, wrapping around the monster like chains of light. The man forced himself up. His body trembled, but he staggered toward the sisters. He pressed one hand against the fiery sister's glowing skin, and the other against the silver sister's. His voice broke as he whispered, "Then we fight together." The chamber exploded with light. Power ripped through all three of them. The sisters screamed, their voices echoing like thunder. The man's eyes blazed, his skin glowing faintly with their energy. The jungle roared not in pain, but in triumph. The beast shrieked, its body convulsing as the combined force burned into it. Its claws slashed wildly, but every strike weakened, its body collapsing under the weight of their bond. The fiery sister tightened her grip, her teeth bared. "For our bloodline." The silver sister's voice rang beside her. "For survival." The human's shout joined theirs, raw and defiant. "For life." The shard in his hand burned white-hot. He drove it deep into the beast's chest. The roots surged upward, piercing through the monster's body. The creature roared one final time before its form shattered, breaking apart into dust and black mist. The jungle inhaled, swallowing its remains. Silence fell. The man dropped to his knees, chest heaving, his vision dimming. The shard crumbled to ash in his hand. His body felt weak, drained. But as he collapsed, massive hands caught him. The fiery sister held him in her palm, her glowing body trembling with exhaustion. Her voice was low, softer than he had ever heard. "You are still alive, because of us." The silver sister leaned close, her silver blood dripping onto his skin. She whispered, her words heavy with meaning. "No, he lives because of all three of us." The man's eyelids fluttered, his consciousness slipping. But before darkness took him, he felt something warm, The sisters' hands touched each other over his body, binding him and themselves together. For the first time in their existence, the sisters were not rivals. They were bound by blood, and the jungle, sensing their unity, began to heal. The cracks in the walls sealed. The glowing roots pulsed in steady rhythm, no longer screaming, but humming like a heartbeat. The air lightened, carrying a strange, soothing calm. The man drifted into unconsciousness, held safely between them. But even in sleep, he knew this was not the end. Their unity had defeated the beast, but it had also awakened something greater, something waiting beyond the jungle. The silence after the battle felt heavier than the roars that had shaken the jungle. The beast was gone, its black dust swallowed by the glowing roots. The chamber pulsed with a strange calm, as if the jungle itself was breathing again. The human stirred in the sister's hands, his body weak, his veins still glowing faintly from the bond. His eyelids fluttered, and when he opened them, two giant faces looked down at him. For the first time, their gazes were not filled with rivalry. They looked at him, and then at each other. The fiery sister's voice was low, rough with exhaustion. "He is alive, because of us together." The silver sister's eyes glimmered, not with pride, but with something unfamiliar acceptance. "The jungle has spoken. He is not yours alone. He is not mine alone. He is both." The man tried to sit up, his body trembling. What does that even mean?" The sisters lowered him gently to the ground. As his feet touched the glowing roots, the chamber shifted. The walls groaned and split apart, revealing a hidden passage that stretched deeper underground. Alien symbols burned into the stone, glowing brighter as he walked closer. The fiery sister whispered, almost reverently, "The prophecy." The silver sister nodded, her voice tight. "At last it wakes." The man frowned, his throat dry. "What prophecy?" Together, the sisters spoke as one, their voices echoing like thunder through the chamber. "One human shall fall into the jungle. 2 guardians shall fight to claim him. The jungle shall bleed until the 3 become one. Only then will balance return." The words wrapped around him like chains. His chest tightened. He realized he was not here by accident. The jungle had brought him. It had chosen him. He stepped closer to the glowing symbols, and as his hand brushed the stone, light exploded across the chamber. The symbols formed an image, a man standing between 2 glowing giants, their hands joined above his head. The sisters bowed their heads, their massive forms trembling. "It is true," the fiery one whispered. "The jungle does not want us to rule. It wants us to share." The silver one's lips curved into a bitter smile. "Share, the one thing we swore we never would." The man turned to them, his voice unsteady. "So I'm supposed to bind with both of you? That's the only way?" The fiery sister's eyes burned with hunger. "Yes, you are the key." The silver sister's aura shimmered, her words sharp yet soft. "You are our equal, our bond, our mate." His breath caught. Mate. The word felt heavy, dangerous, yet it stirred something deep in him. Before he could speak, the chamber shuddered violently. The jungle screamed again, not in pain but in warning. The glowing roots pulsed faster, their light turning blood red. The fiery sister stiffened, her voice urgent. "It is not over. The beast we killed, it was only a shadow." The silver sister's gaze hardened. "The true threat is coming." The human's stomach dropped. "Bigger than that monster?" Both sisters nodded, their glowing eyes grim. The roots whipped across the chamber, tearing open the far wall. Beyond it, a massive staircase spiraled upward, glowing symbols carved into each step. At the top, faint light flickered like the surface, but harsher, redder. The fiery sister extended her hand. "Come, the jungle wants us to ascend, to face what waits above." The silver sister lowered her hand beside her rival's. Together, the man looked at their hands. His mind screamed with fear, but his heart beat with something new resolve. He placed his palms against both. Once again, power surged through him, binding the three as one. The staircase rumbled to life, glowing brighter, drawing them upward. As they climbed, the air grew hotter, heavier. The jungle's heartbeat echoed in their chests. The man's skin glowed faintly, his body no longer only human. The sisters flanked him, their massive frames moving with perfect unity. At the top, the red light grew stronger. The sound of something vast bigger than the beast below rumbled like a storm. The fiery sister leaned close. Her deep voice, a whisper meant only for him. No matter what waits, you are ours now, forever. The silver sister's lips curved, her silver eyes gleaming. And nothing human or monster will take you from us. The man swallowed, his heart racing. Then let's face it together. The staircase ended in a blinding glow. As they stepped into the light, the jungle behind them roared, as if sending them to war. And in the distance, a shadow rose, a shape so vast it blotted out the sky. The sisters tightened their grip around him, and the human whispered the only words that came to mind. This is only the beginning.